Diaz. Oh, sorry, we're jumping. We'll just go to Mr. Zierman.
All right. Thank you, Madam Chair, members. Rock Zierman, CEO of California Independent Petroleum Association. Just real briefly, I thought I'd answer directly the question raised by the committee and the information about how we can ensure a just transition to low carbon future, and then also address the question you raised about ideas on how to do that. I think part of the answer of the transition to low carbon future is the fact that as long as Californians demand and consume a barrel of oil, it should be produced in state. And there are many that say that we should stop in-state production of oil and gas in order to hasten this transition, but in fact we know that that's patently false. Going back into the 80s, we produced 1 million barrels a day. Now we produce half that amount, and yet we obviously consume a lot more than we did in the 1980s. And so all you do by eliminating in-state production is you have to replace it with either 588 more tankers, 285,000 more rail cars, or you have to ration gasoline in the short term, because those are your only short-term options. And so I think there are a lot of reasons, some of them environmental, some of them economic, some of them social justice and human rights and geopolitical reasons why you want to protect in-state production as long as it is demanded. I will just mention one under social justice. Your committee staff has pointed out that income distribution in California is uneven, and that's particularly true in the Central Valley, where about 80% of production in California occurs. And if it were not for oil and gas production, that situation would be much, much worse, not to mention we wouldn't be paying the billions of dollars in local taxes that help fund services. So that's something we definitely want to keep in mind. And just on a geopolitical basis, we want to take a look at, there are no interstate pipelines for oil. We can't get it from Texas or North Dakota unless you want to put it on rail, which doesn't make sense in this economy. So we have to tanker it in from Saudi Arabia, Iraq, and other places, and we have to think about our state policy in doing that. Now, getting to the question that you raised about what are we actually doing, a lot of times people think of oil and gas and renewables as competitors, but in fact, we are greening the oil patch, and we are partnering with renewable energy and deploying renewable energy in our sector. We're heavy energy users, whether it's creation of steam or what have you. Our operations use natural gas, they use electricity, and we're deploying solar under the innovative crude method at CARB in our oil patch. And there's an example of an incentive that was created by government to help hasten and reduce the carbon footprint of oil production in California. And the last thing I'd mention is an idea that we can explore, and that is we do use a lot of natural gas, as most industrial users do, and there may be some opportunity in the biogas field. The problem with that sector is the fact that it has to come from some distance. You have to go to a dairy or a landfill, which may or may not be right next to the oil patch. If I put a giant pipeline that's 100 miles long and connect it, I can comply with AB 32 by using biogas. But if there happens to be an existing utility line and I put it in where the methane is captured and I take it out at a different location, that's not allowed to be used as compliance to AB 32. And I think that's something that we need to change so we can deploy the investment potential of our industry to reduce those harmful methane from those sources. Thank you.
Thank you. And then from the building trades, Mr. Diaz.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members.